Hello and welcome to This One Thing, a daily video devotional coming to you from First Presbyterian Church of Fort Lauderdale. And together we'll be looking at one text and choosing one thing for you to consider. And we hope that you find this a thought-provoking, encouraging part of your day. After Amy and I were engaged to be married, she asked me to join her for a couples book study. A couple that Amy had grown up knowing was facilitating this study on Dr. Gary Chapman's book, The 5 Love Languages. Perhaps you're familiar with it. Now, I would say that I went kicking and screaming, but I was not really enthusiastic about it. You know, the idea of talking about love languages, whatever that meant, with several other couples that I didn't know, frankly sounded pretty awful. And at the end of the day, I absolutely loved it. You know, first, the facilitators, Chris and Lynn, they just did a tremendous job of facilitating conversation, of asking questions, and the material itself was just really rich. It's material that I use now regularly when doing premarital counseling with couples. And you know, the thesis of the book essentially is that we each communicate and receive love in 5 ways. It's that each of us has a primary love language by which we receive love and in turn default to communicating love. And those primary languages are words of affirmation, physical touch, gifts, acts of service, and quality time. You know, recognizing this helps us to see the forms that love can take in one another, and it helps us to see what love looks like. You know, without going much further into the book, I'll just share with you that my love language is 100%, without a doubt, words of affirmation. You know, words just matter to me, I think, more than the next person. It's not about ego, it's just about the way I'm wired. Words matter both positively and negatively. And I think it's for that reason that one of my growth areas, both personally and professionally, has been learning to give critical feedback well. You know, it can be hard to share critical feedback with others. You know, doing that well is a skill that I'm working on. You know, how to share words of challenge. Sharing positive words of affirmation is no problem. On the other hand, that's fun. It's sharing critical feedback that I believe takes practice, or at least it does for me. But I think it's also one of our responsibilities in Christian community to share with our brothers and sisters hard feedback. You know, context is important. Relationship matters in doing that, but it's a critical way that we grow, and it's a critical way that we help others grow by sharing honest feedback. In our text today from Acts 7, you might say that Stephen is giving some critical feedback to the ruling Jewish council in Jerusalem called the Sanhedrin. Stephen, an early Christian or follower of Jesus, has been speaking publicly against God and Moses, he's being accused of blaspheming and speaking publicly against Moses and God, and it's something that's punishable by death by Levitical law. And so here in Acts, we find Stephen recounting for the Sanhedrin exactly what Moses did. He recounts the struggle that Moses had in getting the Israelites to listen and to follow, struggles that Moses had in providing critical feedback. And so Stephen says here, Moses supposed that his kinsfolk would understand that God through him was rescuing them, but they did not understand. Moses thought that the Israelites would know he was there to rescue them, but they did not understand. Now later in chapter 8, Stephen ratchets up the pressure on the Sanhedrin even further, on these Jewish leaders. He connects the dots from the ancient Israelites all the way to the Sanhedrin, saying, "Was there even a prophet your ancestors did not persecute?" there's a lot here in chapter 7 in this passage that we could unpack. But the one thing I'd like you to consider today is that we will each be called to share hard things with others. We may be called to share things that people won't understand, that people won't like. Has God put it on your heart to have a hard conversation with someone you care for? Because sometimes that is what love looks like. Friends, be safe. Be well. We'll see you tomorrow.